Welcome back to Libertas. This is Tonino Habana with our special guest, Professor Edmund Tayo, political analyst and from the UST Department of Political Science. Before the break, I asked Professor Tayo, we were discussing the federal system of government, which the administration is pushing right now. And one of the reasons why it's being pushed is because supposedly it's going to give development to the other regions because if you're part of a federal government, of course you will push for your own federal state to get all of that development. So my question before the break is, wouldn't the government or the bureaucracy be bigger? Because instead of having one central government, you will have all these federal governments and to manage all these states.
Actually, I don't think it will amount to a significant increase. Of course, there will be an increase, but as it is already, you now have the political infrastructure there. You have existing regions, no? But the reason why I say, if at all it's going to increase, it will not be that significant. Kasi the existing 18 regions is not advisable to be adopted as the de facto expected would-be regional governments. But we can start with these 18 regions, no, as a benchmark. Why? Because, as I've said, you already have the political infra there. No? So what's simply going to happen is you can imagine existing regional development councils, no, being given political authority. Kasi yung mga RDCs, they meet only to talk about their priority programs, no? And these priorities, if adopted by the RDC, is or are suggested, no, for inclusion in the government budget. So, suggestion yun. So, kahit na napag-usapan nyo na sa region na ito yung priorities, depende kung mapopondohan yon at mapapatupad. Ang kaibahan, pag nag-federal ka and these regions are transformed into regional governments, so magkakaroon na ng political authority to decide already on their priorities. Hindi na yung isasuggest pa lang nila sa taas and depende kung malalagyan ng pondo o hindi. Kasi sila na yung magde-decide ng pondo nila.
May texter tayo ending 7218 from ASC Tayuman, Manila. Dapat siguro ipatupad ng gobyerno ni Pangulong Digong ang pag-census ng bawat barangay sa buong bansa upang malaman at ma-identify ng bawat chairman ng lahat ng mga nakatira at resident at bawat bahay na sakop ng barangay at alin man ang dapat ng bawat pamilya at kung sino-sino nilalaman ng bawat bahay. Dapat ang lahat ng nakarehistro ng barangay, datihan man o mga bagong salta, pati din ang mga business establishment na located sa barangay at dapat identify din. I think ginagawa na ng census yan, di ba?
Ang problema kasi doon sa, actually maganda itong sinabi niya kasi ito yung function ng LGU dapat, no? Kasi yung database management, hindi lang ito useful for planning and budgeting. Pati security, hagip mo dito kasi alam mo kung sino yung taga doon, hindi taga doon, no? Pero hindi nga nagagawa yon. Yung census na sinasabi, supposedly every 5 years may census ka. Pero pansinin mo yung year ng census.
Correct.
Minsan said after 7 years. At hindi yon kasi isa pang hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit nung nakaraang administrasyon, merong batas na nagsasabi na the only official data would be those data that is gathered by the national government. Hindi magagather ng national government agent lahat ng datos sa baba. Dapat ang taga-gather mo ng datos, LGU. Taga-consolidate ang national. Pero yun nga may isa pang rason yan kung bakit kailangan mong palakasin yung intergovernmental relations. No? Isang rason kung bakit importante yung federal initiative.
Okay, meron pa tayong isang texter from 3075 ending. Good evening, sir. Ang federalism, ang sagot sa problema dito sa amin sa Mindanao para maging mapayapa ang Mindanao.
Yes and no. Depende kung ano yung magiging yung actual result ng regional government sa Mindanao, no? Yung katulad ng BBL, no? Ang hindi isa sa mga rason kung ba't hindi maipush yan Kasi nga, tingnan mo lang yung Article 10 ng existing 1987 Constitution. Kahit na may special mention for an autonomous regional government for Cordillera and the Bangsamoro, no? Nakalump siya along with all local government units. So pag hindi lang ito form and style, pag ininterpret mo yung batas, kahit na may autonomous government, may arm, hindi magiging iba yung arm doon sa probinsya, sa munisipyo. So ang trato sa kanya ng batas, local government unit pa din. Sa madalit sabi, hindi tama yung argumento na BBL muna bago federalism. In fact, lamang na kagad sila because they're advanced in terms of not only discussions, but in fact, they already have an organic act drafted. No? So, what is the way to do it is use this draft organic act and push for federalism and ensure that this draft organic act can be accommodated under a new constitution. If they insist on passing the BBL under the 1987 constitution, it can in theory pass, no? But it will just the same be diluted as the organic act of the current arm. So,
so it's a useless endeavor actually.
Exactly.
So we have to pass the federalism, change the constitution
That's
first.
right.
But how will you address the inequality of incomes of various, let's say, potential federal governments? Kasi they're not all going to start like Metro Manila that's rich right away.
That's right.
How is the group planning to address that problem?
Hindi naman maaalis yun. Talagang merong disparity palagi. Even in Germany, for example, no, there's a Lander Bremen, if I'm not mistaken, no, na essentially, kasi nga maliit sila, no, pag tinignan mo, kasi merong, I forgot how they call it, no, but it's not a transfer mechanism, but it's a computation of how much sharing expected of each lander, no? So we can adopt a similar mechanism there. But apart from that, yun na nga, the formation of regional government should take into account, no, the significance of size. So the existing 18 regional governments should be decreased, no? And we look for ways so that existing regional governments can be merged. So, let's say in theory, you can merge 2 regions at the very least of the existing 18. You're looking at round about 10, 12 regions. Not a bad figure. So, kahit na may disparity pa din na hindi mo naman talaga magagamot overnight, at least madali mo nang i-manage.
Ed, one of the reasons kaya dumami yung mga political units natin is because more people want to run for public office.
Exactly.
Sometimes these cities, these districts are really not viable.
Exactly.
And then they, relatives push it in Congress and so on, so that they can accommodate more relatives. So how will the federal system, try to safeguard against this system?
Yung gerrymandering kasi, regardless of what political system you put in place, no, it's really part of the reality, no. Let's just put it that way. But you can, at the very least, manage the impact of which, no. So even if it ends up hiring more people, the significance of it becoming some kind of a turf or a little kingdom would not be that much. So part of the proposed system or under the proposed constitution that we came up with, hindi lang, as I've said, it's not just redefining the relations between the national and the local governments, no, but you have to redefine the political system and even the electoral and the political party system. So the reason why you have this kind of sort of patronage-based definition and redefinition of political districts is precisely because of political families. And the reason why you have political families is precisely because you have there's no real political party existing. And precisely, you have fragmented local government units. No? So kahit na i-prevent mo yung political dynasty, if you still have very small political units, and there's an absence of real political parties, ulit ng ulit lang yan. So, isa yan sa mga ginagamot ng bagong draft constitution.
Okay, may texter tayo, 7218. common sense lang, pagsupo ng EJK dahil lang nga sa war on drugs. Remember, sobrang daming binunyag at kinasuhan ng Pangulo, starting with De Lima, PNP, generals, local officials, may mga bata silang mga ninja cops, etc. Para sirain ang image ng PNP, General Bato at President Digong. Bilang ganti sa mga ganito, pinanabutahe lang ang kanila. Okay, this is not related to our topic, so
Pero
more on war of
sabihin
drugs.
na lang natin na hindi kasi ganun kasimple ang EJK, ano? At alam mo, isa din 'yan sa mga kailangang baguhin ng sistema kasi uh, kahit na sinasabi nila na malayo yung isyong 'yan doon sa federalismo, hindi eh. Kasi uh, essentially, this is a systemic issue. Isipin mo, Tonino, if you've been to the Basulta area, no? Basilan, Suluta, Witawi, you know, hindi lang dun sa area na, but there are other smaller municipalities that you only have about 5 uniform regular policemen. So, paano mo ma-address ang security dyan? Especially if you go to the island provinces. Ang mga barangay doon is 3 hours away from the mainland. In fact, when I had the occasion to work with some of the local officials there, even some of the residents, I got to interview them. Sabi nila, minsan nga, they have mixed reactions pag may investor na dadating eh, kasi nawawala yung pulis eh. So pag nawala yung pulis, so nagkakaroon ng problema sa peace and order. In other words, the reason why you have EJK is not so much because of whatever the president says or whatever General Bato says. It's clearly an institutional issue. Kulang tayo sa pulis. Yun nga lang forensic natin eh. Nawalan ako ng sasakyan some 4 years back. Maniwala ka, pagpunta mo sa presinto, I'm sure hanggang ngayon, ganun, ano? Niwala ka man lang makitang computer doon na Windows na logbook. No? So, sa madalit sabi, this explains why a criminal case, when filed, is very much dependent on witnesses. Walang concrete evidence.
What happens to the PNP in the federal form of government?
Yun
Magkakaroon ba ng National Police pa rin, or it will be devolved to the federal system?
Based on the proposed constitution, you can't overnight share the function of internal security with the regional governments and local governments. No, it's a shared function, at least in terms of making sure that you know exactly what's happening on the ground. So yun yung kanina related doon sa sinasabi ng texter na yung databasing, palalakasin mo yan sa baba, pero yung pagmando at pagkontrol ng police, hindi mo pwedeng i-share kasi nga as it is right now, medyo may tendency talagang mag-promote ng warlordism. No? So, yung proposed system is semi-presidential. You could also call it semi-parliamentary kasi may parliament ka at meron kang presidente. The president retains state powers. So, siya yung commander-in-chief. So, sa kanya yung AFP. Siya yung national security. So, kasama yung police dyan. At siya din yung chief diplomat. Pero pansinin mo, lahat ng ibang poder nasa Prime Minister and Cabinet. No? So, walang patronage pa, wala na yung patronage sa presidente. Wala na sa kanya yung pera. Sabihin ng iba, mas malakas yung Prime Minister, no? Mas powerful. Hindi, because he shares it with the Cabinet. No? And in the parliamentary system, as you know, no? They are equals, basically. So, it's not something that only one can decide.
We'll be going for a break, but before we go for a break, I'd like to ask you a question related to the anti-corruption campaign of the president. It's one of the reforms that he promised during, he's been mentioning this. And I'd like your comments on how he's doing with his anti-corruption campaign. This is Tonino Apana. Please don't go away. We'll be back.